How's it going, everybody? Brandon McCaskill here with Momentum Canada. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends and your family. So tonight I was able to sit down with Sherry Lee Stewart. She's the proprietor of the Leaky Tank truck stop. So if you're unfamiliar with those names, let's rewind back during the height of the pandemic. There was a video that went viral, shared by Donald Trump Jr., Charlie Kirk, Benny Johnson, a few others. This woman, Sherry, basically chasing away public health officials that came into her restaurant trying to enforce provincial public health rules. And being that her restaurant is on Indigenous land, Sherry put them in her place.
Restaurants are not allowed to be open.
I'm not under provincial jurisdiction, ever. You're on sovereign land.
If you do not shut this down,
Yeah.
follow the provincial rules,
Right.
there will be charges coming. Okay?
What kind of charges?
You don't know, I'm just telling you, you need to shut this
What do you
down.
mean you don't know?
So Rhonda's made you aware of why we're here? Okay, so.
She's
that's
made
all.
me aware of what? That I might be charged, but she doesn't know what I'll be charged with? Well, then the law must not exist. Come in, try to take people's livelihoods to make a living. Get the out and don't come back. Don't shake your head at me either, you brown shirt.
So finally, after a long journey of facing these legal battles, Sherry was finally given the good news that all charges were withdrawn.
My name's Matthew C. Olson. I'm Miss Stewart's legal counsel. Sherry, this is the first time she's hearing it. Sherry, your charges were withdrawn today because they had no reasonable suspicion.
I sat down with Sherry and her legal counsel, Matthew C. Olson, and this is how our conversation went. Enjoy. All right, well, thank you, Sherry and Matt, for sitting down with me. You guys have had quite the eventful week, I understand. Mm-hmm. And has it been a week since you've received the good news from Matt?
What day was
That'll be tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow
Monday,
morning,
so
yeah.
Tuesday morning?
Right, right.
So I watched the video of him. He had a camera person follow him into the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it looked like you didn't expect him. Were you expecting him that
No,
morning?
no, it wasn't
So
actually.
what was going through your head when he
Well,
dropped the news on you?
I knew we were going to court in February, and it was the last day of February, and I hadn't heard from him, and I was actually starting to wonder. I was wondering, okay, now I'm kicked out of here. Are they railroading me in court?
Right.
Could have went the other day. They could have made us fight with an appeal, right, or something. It didn't have to go that easy.
No.
No? Wrong?
No, it could have gone a lot worse.
You never know.
Absolutely.
So,
Sure,
yeah, I'm
they could have kept
thankful.
going.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because look how long they dragged it out already.
2 years.
It was for 2 years.
2 years, eh?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Were we
Toledo.
there? Were we there 5 or 6 times to show up for court?
Oh, boy.
Several,
Well, I'll have
many.
to look, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my notes I have the reason they withdrew it is because it was not in public interest and they had no reasonable prospect of success. Can you explain that a little bit?
Not in the public interest, means what it says, right? It's not good for us to proceed. Normally you'll get that for a variety of reasons. In this one, I wouldn't speculate because it wasn't said, right? The second one is more telling to me.
Right.
No reasonable prospect of success. Well, that means what it says.
Yeah.
We don't think we could win. Or we don't think we have a case.
Right.
Or we don't think this was appropriate. So both of those muddled together, to me, give a clearer picture of this wasn't appropriate to begin with. No, that's just my opinion. And by the way, just as a proviso, nothing I'm going to say is legal advice to anybody watching.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right on. So in this video that Matt snuck up on you with, I noticed at this one moment he's got his arm around you and you say, I've been bullied.
I have
And
been bullied.
that part just hit me.
I have
So
been.
I want to kind of take people back to when this all started. Did this start during the 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Is that where it started with you?
No, we went. I complied there. 'Cause
Okay.
I smelt it.
We
I
better make
smelt
sure
it.
that mic's right up close to
Something
everything.
fishy though.
Yeah.
I knew instantly our immune system was better than that, and I
Right.
also knew that shutting down a world economy was going to have disastrous results.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I'm not an economist, but it's just you can't take the rhythm of the world and just throw the brakes on and expect it to start back up again, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So no, we did go home for a bit, and then I tried complying. I tried the partial dining room, tried the masks, but then I seen one of my waitresses who I'd never seen use an asthma puffer, using her puffer all the time, and it was from wearing the mask. So who am I? It's not, I can't do that to another human being.
Yeah.
So that's when our mask mandate ended in here, and if anybody, you'd have customers that were upset. I had one girl running around, we were busy one day. Customers could walk in, sit down, take their mask off, and this poor young waitress was running around. She pulled it under her nose just to get that breath of fresh air,
Right.
and a customer complained about it.
Really?
You can sit there and
Yeah.
breathe, but you got a problem with her. You want her to. None of it made any sense to me, so I said no
Yeah.
more masks. We're all going to breathe in here.
Yeah, a lot of it didn't make sense, did it?
Not at all. Not at all. And then they tried to tell us to use outdoor patio. I got tables and chairs. They were
Right.
actually in the Eaton Center that somebody had offered to sell me some. I did that, but it gets wet. It
Yeah.
rains. It's cold. No. So that was another day that the police had come in because I wasn't doing just outdoor dining.
Right.
And he said, why? I said, because I pay my rent inside
Yeah.
for dining. We had people pulling in the parking lot, driving by the front window with their cameras just to see people in here. They'd run to the
Really?
police station. They were,
Wow.
I know the OPP were ringing off the wall. Like the police station phones were ringing off the wall.
Yeah.
Because people don't like freedom, I guess.
not, eh?
Right?
And they were at one point encouraging people to tattletale on people, essentially, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know me, you know how many dishes I wash back there? No mask, depending on my immune system.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a deadly virus going around. And have I gotten sick? Not at all.
No.
You know, and I'm literally washing your saliva
Yeah,
off your
literally,
plate.
right?
And I'm not any careful than I would have been normally
Yeah.
either. I was not acting like there's this huge outbreak like Dustin Hoffman movie. I was just
Right.
living my life normal
Yeah.
here. We weren't getting sick.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And so this video that went viral the first time,
Yeah.
Donald Trump Jr. actually shared it.
He
Was there any other like?
Benny Johnson did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What's his name?
Charlie
Kirk.
Kirk.
Charlie Kirk? Okay.
Did. Bunch of them.
So it
did.
took the
And we
rounds.
know.
Yeah.
It was on and we know a little bit, but he's deadly against guns. And if I would have had him in the back of my mind, I would have been more of a lady for LT. But yeah.
Right on. So in that video, as the public health officers, you're kind of chasing them away, but you're at the same time you're saying, "Hey, wait, speak to my lawyer." Are you the lawyer that she
This
was
is the
talking
guy.
about?
Yeah.
So you guys met around that
Paralegal.
time.
Yeah, I'm a paralegal. Yes.
So tell us that story. How did you guys kind of come to connect?
Well, I don't know. That's been a while. How did? Well, I
Barry.
know Carla would come here. It
Barry.
was James, wasn't it? Yeah.
James Barry.
Yeah.
This boy was sitting in here, and he had heard. I don't know if he was here when it happened, or he knew it had happened, or the waitress was telling him like, "Wow, we just threw them out," and
Right.
video went viral, and so he told Matt, like, "I think I found that woman that will stand up for her rights."
Right,
He
right.
wanted a way to get into this fight because we knew we were going down a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And then we hooked up, we talked about it, we prayed about it, we slept on it, and then we decided that we gotta do something here. We have to try to do
You
something.
have to try, right?
Yeah.
Right on. So Matt, I want to ask you this because I watched that video just over and over, and I'm just crying every time. This especially this recent one. But I noticed even the look on your face. There's like a.
Victory.
It meant something to you.
It did.
Tell us what it meant to you.
Oh boy, we don't have time for that. With Sherry specifically,
Yeah.
I think what I saw, and you don't get to hit me. I think what I saw was an older lady, a private business owner, operating fully within the law,
Right.
being picked on. I don't know where these people were raised, but where I was raised, we don't pick on girls. We certainly don't pick on older ladies. I'm going to get hit later, aren't I?
No.
We certainly don't pick on older
Oh, I
ladies.
feel older.
We certainly don't talk about them in public. I don't know where these people's manners come from.
Right.
And I'll say that quite clearly, all of them. I don't know where their manners come from. They all should have been, I don't know, grounded a little more often or something.
Right.
They all behave themselves like children. So what did it mean with Sherry? That particular day was a culmination of, we've been working on this for 2 years.
Right.
It involved every member of my firm at some point and members of multiple other firms.
Right.
In order to just simply say, as a standard of law, what you're doing is wrong. You got to stop.
Right.
And it wasn't like they weren't aware. So, I mean, the question being, what did it mean? Oh, it meant I got her some peace. And that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
It meant I got her a victory, and that's what I wanted.
That's perfect.
Because for 2 years, we've been going, okay, when we win, here's what we'll do.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. In your line of work, is there a lot of pressure, like someone like Sherry, or because I'll say Sherry and myself, because we align on a lot of perspectives, but taking someone's case, like someone like us, is that hard for someone in your particular field?
Well, I have a wife, and I can't imagine anybody who realizes we're married would think I had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
Is it hard for somebody in my field? I don't care. Right is right.
That's a good answer.
Wrong is wrong.
Yep.
And the people in my field who didn't do the right thing are going to pay a price.
Yep.
They're going to pay a price directly and really what I believe is they're going to pay a price eventually in ways of perhaps criminal charges.
Right.
They certainly are going to pay a price in even the short and the long term in, I don't have any clients. Is it hard? I don't care.
Yeah.
Do people like it? I don't care.
Nothing.
I could care less about what the people opposing her think than I could about what kind of toilet paper my wife buys.
Right.
No.
Right on. So what was it about this case that you just thought there's a win here?
Sherry, how much do you want me to go into that?
How much you can.
Okay. Without giving away some things we're working on.
Right.
It was very clear, in my opinion, that there wasn't a chance on God's green earth that any of what they were doing to her was correct. I have my own takes on what they were doing in the province and in the country and in other ways.
Right.
And not only do I not believe that was legal also, I mean, I have my own legal and certainly spiritual opinions on that. Right. But as far as my initial opinion on it was she needed protection.
Right.
From actors that were rogue, that weren't aware of the law, that weren't aware of their duties, that weren't aware of their job.
Right.
That answer that, Brendan?
Yeah, that's perfect. So, Sherry, you had public health coming against you. You had the broader public, because your videos went viral, but you also had your community come against you.
Yeah.
That must have felt awful.
Yeah, it did, actually.
So, this whole thing for me is essentially, it's saying with a giant exclamation point that you were right.
I was right.
You
I
were.
knew I was right.
So
I'm
what-
not one to get myself in trouble.
Right.
Because it stresses me out if I'm in trouble, right? I just can't take it because I'm an
Right.
honest person. So I wouldn't put myself in that position to be liable.
Right.
I knew I was within my legal rights, whether or not you agreed with me using my rights in your so-called medical emergency.
Right.
I wasn't falling for it.
Right.
We just gave a little bit of sanctuary here.
Yeah. So if you had to speak to the people that did condemn you, what's your message to them?
They don't know me. They
don't
know
know you.
absolutely nothing about me. And the
Right.
saddest part is I'm doing it for them.
Yeah.
Because I understand.
Right.
People, we are enslaved by taxation. We are enslaved by everything. Our kids are involved in this. They keep us tied up. So the average Joe gets up in the morning, they go to work, they work their tail off,
Yep.
they come home tired. They might catch, half an hour of the news after supper, or waiting for the wife to cook, or waiting for hubby to get home. They're not getting the truth.
Right.
I'm just trying to show them that the system's corrupt. But sadly, these people that are mean and vicious and they're looking at me as the monster and ugly, it's not me that's ugly, it's the truth that you're not ready to hear.
Right. Yeah.
But if they don't agree to hear it, how can we ever defeat it?
Right.
We have got some major serious issues in our country, And you've got people lollygagging around like everything's okay. Everything is not okay. We're on a seriously slippery slope. I know we've been programmed to accept the government as Big Daddy and they're good for us, and the news is journalism. It's not journalism anymore, it's lies.
Truly is.
It is just propaganda. They don't realize the enemy that seeks to control us owns the news. That's not what we were raised to think. We've been locked in a big lie, and until enough of us stand up together and link our elbows together, we're not going to get very far.
No, we're not.
They want us divided. I had people calling and saying, "Oh, thank you for standing up. You give me courage." But then you've got the other ones too, saying that I'm a cesspool of germs and you're murdering people and like
Death threats.
Oh,
That one really.
well, that was after the Ukraine one. The death threats were
Yeah, but
really,
still.
really bad. To my staff and
Really?
this Jason guy. He said he was from Suncor. He called and said Suncor will never order again. He was calling me filthy 4-letter names.
Gosh.
And then I think he called me later from a texting app phone saying he's watching me and I deserve to be dead. And
Wow.
oh yeah, it was bad. And people told my daughter-in-law that they were going to hang her in front of her children, and it was so bad. The phone all day long, phone hang up, phone
Wow.
hang up, phone hang up. It was for weeks and weeks and weeks. Janong made it worse
Yeah.
because they put the letter out saying we don't agree with her opinion on Russia, and so all these people who knew absolutely nothing about politics, they're just
Right.
following the profile frame. You know, it's like
Yeah.
a phenomenon, right? Somebody puts a frame around their profile picture, and then everybody's got to do
Yeah.
it, right? And it's like a phenomenon how people will follow the Pied
It's like
Piper.
a virtue signal, right?
And that's
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
did. They followed Janong, and
Yeah.
I don't care what they say, they're not accurate on their facts of what's going on over in Ukraine.
Right.
The military over there is no better than an ISIS. They do have swastikas all over their bodies. They tattoo that they're killing their own citizens. They're burning down churches. They're mutilating that country that they stole illegally. So these people are completely unaware of what's going on over there, in my opinion. But even if I was wrong, I didn't even post my opinion that day.
Right.
I posted a smidget out of the letter from the Russian consulate
Right.
to the Canadian government, and that's what they had said they were going in, and I had actually just heard that on In We Know, right? So like, here's some news for you.
This was
Don't
on your
worry.
whiteboard, right?
It was on my whiteboard,
The viral whiteboard.
my viral whiteboard. I had fun with
This
that.
one right here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Gotta
So
call 'em out.
how many different messages went viral, or was it just that?
No, just a couple.
Just a
I had my
couple.
Tucker Carlson post. It went pretty good about
Yeah.
all the food things burning down.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to tell people,
Yeah, I lost
stock
count.
up, prepare for some
I lost count.
hard days.
After like 99
I know.
factories burning down. So okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Millions
That's just
and
a
millions of
coincidence.
Just
foul.
Nothing to see there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah, and all I cared is that people would wake up like, hey, I'm on the wrong
Or at
side
least
of
start
history.
asking questions, right?
At least listen
Right.
to us. You got mothers out there who would rather tell their children they can't come for Christmas than
Yeah.
sit down and hear them out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I shared that with you off camera. I said in the beginning when I first saw your video go viral, which was that 2020 or 2021? I can't remember.
21, I believe.
It's all a blur, the pandemic for me.
That was the second
I-
time I kicked them out, you know.
Yeah?
She come
think you-
before
yeah.
that too. But we didn't videotape it, and I
Yeah.
chased her out the door that day too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were mad that time too.
Yes.
But I was saying how even in my perspective, which, like I said, we have a lot of the same views, I felt the cultural pressure, that tug of, going along with the narrative, like to actually hate you. Because the way they were framing it seemed convincing. And so I can just imagine a lot of people, like riling a lot of up.
Oh, yeah.
And,
On purpose.
Yeah, on purpose.
People called and said there's Ukrainians on their way here to kill me too. It was,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
But that's just because for me, it shows me how important it was for you to stand up because it woke people up like me to
It did.
realize.
I'm glad to know that.
Well, I
That
mean
my
that,
pain
yeah.
helps somebody.
For sure,
I'm
because
glad to know.
it takes. I believe it takes the courage of one person to speak to a lot of people. Because if people look
Yeah.
up to you, they're going to start asking questions themselves. So that's. I'm very, very
hope
thankful that
so.
you stood up.
Are you? Thank you.
No
I
problem.
didn't know that.
So Matt, her specific case is different than, say, other people that are dealing with their own legal challenges because it's on reserve property, right? So is that the proper way?
Sovereign land.
Sovereign land. So can you kind of break down the differences between her case and how that would be different for someone not on sovereign land?
Okay, first of all, again, nothing I'm saying is legal advice.
Yeah.
This is an opinion. We're dealing directly with her. Boy, break it down. It's complicated. Let's try to make it a little more simpler.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay. So there are components of 12 different laws. Let's go into a few. Just a few.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So the Indian Act
Yeah.
would tell me about jurisdiction. It would tell me who this land belongs to, why that land belongs to them, and what power and authority would have something to say about it.
Right.
The EMCPA and the ROA, which are the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act and the Reopening Ontario Act, the lockdown laws,
Yeah.
they would tell me where they have jurisdiction. And then there's some public health laws that you can look at, and that would tell you where they have jurisdiction. And then certainly you can look at the Police Services Act, which governs the behavior of policemen provincially, and that could tell you where they would have jurisdiction. Just on the jurisdictional issue, the EMCPA and the ROA, those are the reopening acts, or the lockdown acts rather.
Right.
They would tell me that they had no jurisdiction whatsoever at all in anyone's mind being here. Now why?
Right.
Well, it gets a little complicated, but let's go simply. The Reopening Ontario Act applied to public health units, as did the EMCPA. So they would close down, and you'll remember this, they played this little rolling game of Toronto's closed, but not the city 45 minutes away, or Sarnia's closed, but London's open. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody go out on the weekends and they'd go shopping or go out to eat where it wasn't closed. And then they went, well, we can't have that. Let's close everybody down. There's another interesting piece. The EMCPA and the ROA, when read properly together, actually say that you cannot close down an entire province all at once. It didn't work like that. That was not lawful. Next. If I look at the EMCPA and the ROA, I can find the orders and I can find the rationale for the orders. First of all, the rationale for the orders is some of the dumbest stuff I've ever read. They weren't using actual scientific numbers. They weren't using actual data obtained from anybody that was using a sensical scientific pattern to do so.
Yeah.
But let's go into Sherry. So if we look at that, it applied to public health units, as we just talked about a minute ago.
Right.
And it says it applies to public health units. Remember when we were closing it down? We were closing down public health units. We weren't closing down cities. We weren't closing down a jurisdiction that we just made up. We were closing down public health units. So this would be in the area of the Lambton County Public Health Unit. But this is not, in fact, the Lambton County Public Health Unit because that is provincial jurisdiction, and by color of law, they don't have authority here.
Right.
Let's go into that real quick. If this had been the Lambton Public Health Unit, I would be able to pull up a map from the Public Health Unit, which you can get online. You can't get it online anymore, actually. They've taken it down, but I have the archived copy. And I would be able to see the jurisdiction of the Lambton Public Health Unit, because certainly it doesn't run into the City of London. Of course it doesn't, right? It doesn't obviously run across the water here into Michigan. That doesn't make sense. There is a map, and that map contains the jurisdiction. It's crossed at this road, by this road, and it's bounded here. Right. Where we are sitting at the Leaky Tank is not inside of it. Neither is any of the rest of the reservation here. Why? Well, because the Indian Act would prohibit it from being a public health unit in very, very, very plain English. So they took the MCPA and the ROA, which only applied to public health units, and they went, well, that applies to you, Sherry. Well, no, it doesn't. It couldn't possibly apply to you. And that's one of the reasons why they were inaccurate. There are 19 separate reasons that what they did to her, as a matter of law, under the color of law, was incorrect. That's one.
19, holy.
Yeah, that's what I think about it, too. When you understand it the way that I was forced to understand it in order to help this dear lady,
Yeah.
you look at it and you go, who said this was okay?
Can I interrupt you for a second? Of those 19, how many applied to just the Indian Act side of things?
Just specific to Sherry.
Right.
There are 4 reasons, at least,
Yeah.
that the EMCPA and the ROA were illogical, irrational, or not based on fact,
Right.
or unlawful.
Yeah.
Those 4 issues are being substantially challenged in Hillier's case,
Okay.
and a few others, and a few at our firm. And I have no doubt in my mind that those will be victorious. There is just no context
Right.
under lawful procedure where you can go A and B aren't
Yeah.
the next thing to come isn't C. It doesn't make sense. It didn't work. Didn't work like that. But certainly that law didn't apply to an Indian or
Right.
an indigenous reservation. Certainly it didn't.
And I like the analogy you used on Rick Walker's show about wearing a blue shirt in the state of Wisconsin and having those laws apply to you.
It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is sovereign land.
Yeah.
Period. Now, there are agreements in place, reservation by reservation.
Right.
I believe is the correct way to put that. Where, they have an agreement with the city to, take care of the traffic tickets, take care of, the disturbance calls. And certainly, the city of Sarnia would believe that they have an agreement like that. And certainly I believe that they could probably make a case for that. It appears that they may have,
Yeah.
to some extent. I don't know whether that or not was formalized in writing, and I don't care.
Right.
Because again, even that agreement would make this unlawful. Because, again, it is not a public health unit. No, under no color of law is it a public health unit. The public health department told me in writing it's not a public health unit and they have no jurisdiction here.
Yeah.
Before they actually came out to that video, we had staved them off 5, 6, 7 times. She would call me. I would answer the phone, mostly on the weekends. I don't know why they kept doing it on the weekend. Mostly on the weekends, and she would say somebody was in from the public health department, and they told me I had to close down, and they gave me this letter, and she would send me a picture of the letter, and I would make a phone call, and I would explain to the person on the other end of the phone
Yeah.
how this wasn't inside of their jurisdiction, and they were in violation of, I don't know, 6 or 7 different laws.
Wow. So where are we at right now? What's next for you?
Not sure.
Not sure.
Rest.
Rest.
Yeah. Rebuild my strength. I'm tired. It's been a rough.
I bet.
I don't know. I think one of the worst things for me, like the customers that I lost, are the police officers.
Yeah.
That was a bummer. On a Thursday morning, it was normal before all this went down.
Yeah.
I would have all my regular OPP guys. I'd have all the detectives from the city. They all wore these funky purple shirts.
Yeah.
And I took so much pride in for that
Yeah.
because I know they can't just eat anywhere.
Oh yeah.
I have so much respect for these guys.
Mhm.
Actually, there was one guy, his name was Paul, years ago. He come in for lunch with his partner, and I had just tried this blonde guy to cook in the back. Guy got here an hour,
Yeah.
and these dudes walked in, calls me over.
Yeah.
I said, "What?" I said, "What's that guy doing back there?"
Yeah.
I said, "He just came in. I'm just trying him out."
Yeah.
No, he shouldn't be here.
Really?
I went and I said, "You know what, buddy? I just don't think this is going to work out. Who am I going to respect, right? They
Yeah.
know this guy, not me, right? That's how much respect I had. And I know that they obviously had a lot of faith in me that they could sit here comfortably and
Right.
never worry about their food. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of those guys are disappointed that the politics got in the way of that. But they're my biggest loss because I had a great sense of pride that they chose me.
Yeah, I heard that. I guess we all heard that a lot. Where even like police officers, they don't want to do their jobs. They don't want to enforce these
I know.
tyrannical
I
measures.
know.
So what do we do from a legal perspective? Who do we go after? Like, is it the cops? Is it public health?
Sure. You want to talk about that? You
want me to
talk about that?
Only if it's time.
Make sure you- Otherwise, yeah.
So I'll give her, and we've talked about this earlier, I will give her my official decision sometime this week.
Yeah.
There are 7 of us,
Right.
half of those being outside of my firm, that are looking at it. We're deciding exactly who did something that looks wrong, exactly who committed, I don't know, libel, slander, defamation.
Yeah.
And those people are going to be systemically targeted via all legal means, be they, I don't know, the suggestion of criminal offenses. Certainly, there are a significant number of lawsuits.
Yeah.
Certainly, there is at least at least one human rights application here. Her human rights were significantly breached.
Yeah.
Those are basic and immutable. We don't step outside of those, and so I don't care who did that. We're going to go after them using all legal means.
Yeah.
Right.
So Sherry, what can we do for you? Is there anything that the viewers can do to reach out to you, offer encouragement, or is there something financial they can
Pray.
do? Pray.
Pray for me.
Your faith means a lot to you, doesn't it?
That's value. That's all. That's all
Yeah.
I've got.
That's
on
really
the, On the
cool.
worst day, that's all I've got. On the best day, that's why I got it, right?
Yeah.
My only concern now is my son and my daughter-in-law, who have put a lot of years into this place.
Right.
But they're both very smart and healthy and talented people. I'm sure God will lead them where they need to go next. But this is a huge loss, and I hope people see it. I did this out of love. I did this for the next generation. I did this for my grandchildren. I did it for their grandchildren, because when the truth starts trickling out, they're going to remember, hey, she said that.
Oh yeah.
She tried to warn us that. And people better get ready for some dark, dark days, in my opinion, are coming. They're messing with our food chain. This war is just to disrupt everything. Look at the derailments.
Yeah.
Look at the chemical spills. That's another thing that gets me. When that Ohio derailment went down and that cloud went over here, snowed the next day. Did anybody sample the snow?
That's what
We
I want
did.
to know.
Why don't
Did we?
anybody care? Huh?
We did.
We did?
We did at our home.
Did
Oh,
you?
you
I
did?
mean, the city, though.
Oh,
You would think somebody from the environment would be questioning, wanting to do that, would you
Especially
not?
being like the Chemical Valley city, right? Where they're always testing air
Great
quality.
Lakes. We have Lake Huron.
That's insane.
It is insane, and you know what? People are going to wake up, and it's going to be so late in the game. Their head's going to be spinning around, and I'm going to pity them.
Yeah.
I'm going to pity them.
What I'm so happy about with this case, and maybe you can kind of finish on this, Matt, the fact that because your case is different, it's you got your Indian Act thing, you know, mixed in with the human rights and the charter rights being infringed on, but it's like an obvious sign that they overplayed their hand, right? That this, like, if they went as far as to go to violate the Indian Act.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't know if you can make sense of this, Matt, but it seems like that lends credence to everybody else just for the fact that they overplayed their hand over here.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
That's, yeah,
saying that
I
right?
understand exactly. What I hear you saying is that the fact that they went so hard after her
Right.
and ended up giving up, that lends credence to the regular guy who was just ticketing or who was just, protesting.
Right.
Yeah. They really tried.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not going to go into, every conversation we had about this.
Right.
Every, boy, her file is, I mean, wow. Right?
Bible and a half, eh?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It certainly lends credence to the rest of them. Were they prepared to go after everybody the way they went after her? And God forbid had we not met, right? I think to some extent the fact that I was going at it very aggressively,
Yeah.
and the fact that she was going at it very aggressively made them reconsider.
Right.
I think that's a fair way to put it. Yeah.
Perfect.
But you look at the rest of them. I mean, how does hers differ from? Well, there was another restaurant. I won't use the name, but there was another restaurant locally. How does it differ from them? Wonderful people.
Right.
One hell of a pot roast over there. You probably do too. But how does it differ from them? Since when do we accept, in a democratic society, the government going, shut down, stay closed, and if you open up, we're going to take your business?
Right.
I'm trying not to swear here, but I can't think of a more appropriate word. That's a bunch of malarkey.
Yeah.
That's not correct. Since when do we go? And here's the other one that bothered me. And stop me, I don't want to go too long. But here's the other one that bothered me. We have a whole group of people that we train. We send through enormous amounts of schooling. They have enormous amounts of testing requirements and compliance requirements. And we trust them to take care of us.
Right.
Nurses.
Yeah.
Doctors. And all of a sudden, when the nurses disagreed and wouldn't become vaccinated, we fired them.
Yeah.
Do you know how many cases like that we're dealing with? A nursing shortage? No, there's no such thing. We do not have a nursing shortage.
No.
We have, in my firm, just mine. I have to have, and without putting a number on it, because somebody's going to go, well, it's one number below or it's one number above. There must be about 1,000. We must have 1,000 nurses at our
Right.
At our firm. That's wrong. That's illegal. We don't violate people's human rights, so we can impose laws that are contrary to the charter.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Freedom of mobility in Sherry's case, and freedom of mobility in the people that were coming here. I'm sorry, that is inalienable.
Yeah.
You know, whoever wants to say it is alienable,
Yeah.
they are doing so in order to suppress one of your liberties. We don't put up with that. That's not correct. How does yours differ from others? There was a clear way to fend it off. A really clear way. I mean, they were reaching so hard.
Right.
Because you can't have this restaurant out here
Yeah.
open up because everybody else closed down.
Yeah.
Well, almost everybody else.
Yeah.
How does it differ? She had courage. What did the rest of them have? The rest of them were sitting there, and I'm aware of conversations with other restaurants or other business owners locally.
Right.
I had consultations with them, without, and of course, certainly not going to name any, where they went, how can I do that?
Yeah.
Well, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Let them come. Your rights are being violated, and stand up. Oh no, that's okay. I'll sit down.
Yeah.
How's it different? She has guts. That's how it's
Tough
different.
skin, right?
Yeah. Their argument from a legal standpoint was far worse than it was in her case, than it was in anybody else's.
Yeah.
You know what got me in the city? I don't know what counselor it was, but he put forth a motion that they could forgive some people's taxes if they were shut down.
Oh, yeah?
They said no. So they wouldn't even give you a rebate on you're not making any money, but they're still getting 100% of your taxes.
Right.
And they shot that down.
Dang.
Yep.
And we were...
Isn't that Bill?
Was it Bill Dennis?
Was
think
it?
it was
Might have
Bill.
been
I
Bill,
think it was
probably.
Bill.
Bill's
Okay.
a good guy.
Yeah.
Still
I
is.
like Bill. Yeah.
But,
Did you see what they did to our picture? Did you see that?
No.
Oh my Lord. Bill came in one day to meet me. He's a nice fella. And he wanted to take a picture with me for his
Yeah.
Facebook. So we stood in front of the board.
Oh.
And somebody took that picture of me and him.
Oh.
And they changed the board and
Yeah.
they cropped in my Ukraine post. And
Really?
they put Putin's face on
Ah.
Bill. So it looks like
Dang.
me and Vladimir Putin standing in here.
Gosh.
It was the funniest thing. I
Gosh.
loved it.
We were talking off camera about had the government tried it from a different route imposing these mandates. So instead of provincially coming after sovereign land individuals like you, instead coming through federally. Matt, is there some sort of reason why they wouldn't have gone through the federal route as opposed to the way they chose to with Sherry?
Yeah, to
Okay.
believe that the federal public health department, well,
Yeah.
let's just find out. Let's find out. Here's the way we'll do it. And I love this because I think you'll enjoy this.
Okay.
Sherry, who is it? What public health agency comes in and inspects the kitchen
Nobody.
here?
They're not allowed.
Nobody.
Nobody's allowed.
You know-
Federal. Federal.
Yeah, but
Remember?
do they?
We had to talk to
I
them?
do, and they had to ask permission, didn't they?
They called first, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because under color of law,
Oh, that's interesting.
there is not a public health agency inspecting
They can't come in
here.
here from
They don't have jurisdiction.
But all the health inspectors used to eat here every Friday, like a few years back. They were here
Oh no, certainly I'm
constantly.
not calling in to question any of that because
Yeah.
boy, the kitchen back there.
But
is
I
cleaner
was
than-
shocked that
yeah.
they would eat where they weren't allowed to inspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they liked it here. They liked the food.
So could the federal government have said, Sherry, you need to close down? No, that would have been in violation of the Indian Act.
Okay.
And if the federal
okay.
government had said it,
Gotcha.
well, now the federal government would. Oh boy, goodness. So there was a process for that, and I looked into it once.
Yeah.
It would take roughly 2.5 years for them to make that happen.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Okay, I
And they
didn't
would
know
have to
that.
have gone
Yeah.
through the, and I want to get this right. They would have had to gone through the council here, and then whoever is over the council for this particular reservation. Then they would have had to gone to, there was a national level group, and I don't remember the name, and then they would have had to have the approval of, it was the Solicitor General and another member of government federally, but then they would have needed approval. And there's just no way, it never would have happened.
It's like a similar process to if they wanted to go the charter route, right? Because they have to meet certain criteria. So it's kind of
It would have
the,
never happened. It never happened.
so that's our reason why they didn't come through
All
federally.
right.
Yeah, they couldn't have come through federally either. And here's the thing. She had police officers eating here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they must have really seen a problem with it.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the official take, and I don't want to blow any cover here, but the official take is that the police certainly weren't eating here.
Yeah.
They were not here the next day you opened
Right.
without their uniforms on, because they were.
Right.
I had somebody send me a picture. Hey, I'm down at the tank. Look who's here. And oh, is that a? Yes, it is. Whoa, oh, well, that's a police officer.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's doing there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I missed them.
I mean, could they have come at it from a different way? No,
No.
no. There is no way they could have come at it where we weren't prepared to combat it.
Right.
I don't think there was any way they could have come at it where she would have said, yes, Daddy. Sorry, maybe that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. Wrong is wrong,
Yeah.
period.
It's bigger than this restaurant.
Yeah.
And that's what bothered them about it. That's why they went so hard on it. Well, we can't have her telling us, you know, I mean, she's a bad example.
Right.
I mean, same with, there was a series of these restaurants. Like, I'm thinking of that burger joint in Toronto.
Oh.
I mean, look at the portions of law they broke there to get at the guy. Since when do we allow stormtroopers, and I'm sorry,
That was bad down there.
yeah, since when do we allow stormtroopers to break into private establishments because we don't like what's going on?
Yeah.
Right.
Jump off the side of a cliff. We don't do that here.
Yeah. That was one of your concerns that you mentioned to Rick of the public health officers that came in with guns.
Look,
Whoa.
plain English.
Yeah. Here.
I'm going to use my hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plain English.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a problem right now because there is a country in the world that was invaded by another country.
Yeah.
What's an invasion? An invasion is men that are armed going where they don't belong in order to enforce their boss's orders.
Yeah.
Men that were armed came into this restaurant where they don't belong at the color of law
Yeah.
in order to enforce their boss's order. We've done this before. In fact, the lawyer that dealt with it last time was Murray Klippenstein, who is a wonderful man, very bright man. What's the name of that one? Sherry? It was April Wash. This happened a few years ago. I don't know how else you color that.
Yeah.
That police agency had no business here. There was no lawful reason for them to be there. They were made aware of it by her counsel, and by other people. And they did so while being armed. I don't know how else you color that.
Right.
I mean, do you say that it was we were incorrect. It was an inappropriate action. When you do it with a gun, it has a different context.
Yeah.
A councilman or councilwoman, a chief, an officer could have walked in and went, Sherry, I think so. Let's have a polite conversation. What was that? It was a show. Because she wasn't going, yes, Daddy, loud enough. Sorry, I could probably be more intelligent than that, but I don't know how else to frame that.
Yeah.
Armed, everything has a different concept. Everything has a different perspective.
Yeah.
When you're wearing a gun.
Certainly does.
We live in Canada, not Moscow.
Yeah.
This is written anyways.
All right. Let's close this off with what do you have to say to the public? What's the hope here with this situation, and what can people look forward to in Canada in terms of the legal battles going on? Do you have anything hopeful to say?
I do. I was having a conversation a few nights ago. My wife and I went somewhere. And I hear a lot of doom and gloom. Oh, the court isn't going to listen. This is doomed to fail. The government's rigged. This and that. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
The government and the courts are run by people. They are run by people who are going to choose to do what is right or what is wrong.
Right.
If they choose to do what is right, history will remember them correctly. If they choose to do what is wrong, history will note that also. So what do I think? I'm surprised there weren't people in my profession knocking down her door to represent her. Did anybody else ever call you but me?
Nope.
I don't know how.
Wow.
They're afraid of native issues.
I don't know how.
People are.
I don't know
think
how.
they are.
They violated her rights as a believer in Christ. They violated her rights as a business owner. They violated her rights as a business owner. They violated rights as a woman. They violated her rights as a member of a specified group, being Indigenous.
Yeah.
Bull. We don't stand for that.
No.
So, hopeful news, I see a lot of things coming out that I believe give us hope. There are a lot of decisions that are being made correct.
Right.
This decision
Yeah.
is correct. It took 2 years
Yeah.
and cost this woman
Yeah.
pain and suffering. But that's okay. We're going to go get that. We're going to make sure that she's compensated.
Yeah. Perfect. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, that people really need to start paying attention and rising up because our children need us to do this. If we don't, we have completely and utterly let them down. They're bringing us to our knees.
Yeah.
They are going to put us in this place where we're begging for them to save us, and that saving us will be nothing but slavery. And there's nothing good in that. And I was desperately trying to warn people. I don't know, the passion, I couldn't shut up. I know some of my customers were getting upset with some of my posts, but they were true. And I needed to try to trigger people. And
Yeah.
you said it worked, so
It
hopefully
worked.
other people,
I think it did.
it worked too.
Yeah.
I hope so. And,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
thank you for your courage, Sherry.
yeah, my grandchildren
Yeah.
are going to thank me for my courage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
My grandma fought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the good Lord will lead me in the future. We'll see where my future's going.
I like it. Right
Yeah,
on.
And maybe we get through this, we'll maybe open the most beautiful restaurant around for my son.
I'll be
We'll
around.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I just hope we stand on guard for thee and take it back and make Canada great again.
Make Canada great again. Well
Yeah.
said. Well, thank you
Yeah.
guys so much for sitting down. This has
You're welcome.
been a great conversation, and I'm thankful to continue to tell your story. Hopefully more people reach out to further the story across Canada. I think it needs to be heard. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you more.